Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or whatever it is, wherever you are. My name is Jack, and I'm going to sing you some folk songs. As I was walking along Radcliffe Highway, a recruiting party came beating my way. They enlisted me and treated me till I did not know. And to the Queen's barracks they forced me to go. When first I deserted, I thought myself free, till my cruel comrades informed against me. I was quickly followed after and brought back with speed. I was handcuffed and guarded, heavy irons on me. Court martial, they held upon me. Sentence passed upon me, 303. May the Lord have mercy on them for this sad cruelty. For now the Queen's duty lies heavy on me. When next I deserted, I thought myself free, until my cruel sweetheart informed against me. I was quickly followed after and brought back with speed. I was handcuffed and guarded, heavy irons on me. Court martial, then quickly he was got. The sentence passed upon me was that I was to be shot. May the Lord have mercy on them for this sad cruelty. Now the Queen's justice lies heavy on me. Then up rode Prince Albert in his carriage and six, saying, "Where is the young man whose coffin is fixed? Set him free from his irons and let him go free, for he'll make a good soldier for his queen and country." Thank you. So that's a song called New Deserter. Sorry, just so you can't see I'm doing it, I'm fiddling with my little mixing desk box just to make sure everything sounds all right. A song called The New Deserter. It's Victorian, obviously, with a reference to Prince Albert, and it appears kind of across the south, particularly in London, and I think in Portsmouth a couple of versions are recorded as well, and bits of Kent sometimes. And it represented a telling of a story that's very common in English folk songs, which is about press ganging. Press ganging was effectively legalised kidnap that both the Royal Navy and the British Army did. It was a way of recruiting new people. He mentions a recruiting party rather than a press ganging party, but that's what they were. And this becomes kind of it makes an impression in English folk music, but also in English language. I mean, if you impress someone, you kind of force them to go along with what you're saying and agree with you. And it's just that now we mean that in a much less sinister sense than they did once upon a time. So let's have a slightly chirpier one. A lot of English folk songs are quite miserable. Misery is a great tradition of the English, it seems. We do love to be miserable. We love to complain. And this seems to go back at least a few hundred years. So let's have a slightly more optimistic one. This one was recorded by Cecil Sharp in the 1890s. It appears in England. It appears, I think, once in the Appalachian Mountains. He goes around Appalachia and records their songs as well. And a lot of them are they're really English songs that just kind of moved. So I'll give you some of this one, which is Sweet England. As I was walking one morning in spring, to see the green fields, hear the collie birds sing, I met a young lady making her moan, saying I am a stranger a long way from home. I came from sweet England with my mother and my dad. We thought in America all could be had, of gold and of silver and riches galore, and never need hunger and poverty more. That's for sweet England, my father is dead, and mother can earn, but there's little for bread. Weep as I gaze o'er the far distant main, for a fine ship to take me to England again. I've an aunt in the country, she lives all alone. She'd welcome and love me as I were her own. Nurse her in sickness and tend to her pains. Thank God that I'm back in sweet England again. When the night one is spurs and the stories are full, he was gentle and brave, he was gallant and bold. Shield on his arm and a lance in his hand, God and for valour he rode through the land. An aunt in the country, she lives all alone, and she'd welcome and nerve me as I were her own. I'd nurse her in sickness, and I'd tend to her pain, and I'd thank God that I'm back in sweet England again. Thank you. So that one's a kind of a classic one. I mean, if you're kind of a certain generation, you might know it as When a Night Won His Spurs. A lot of hymns, particularly ones that were Vaughan Williams ones, they get into the English hymnal. They're really just folk songs which they've kind of taken out the bawdy lyrics and put some religion into. And this Night Won His Spurs carries on in that grand old tradition, which is always very good. So I'll give you another one. Let's have another one. Let's have an a cappella one. So one of the grand traditions, the kind of grandest and oldest tradition of English folk music is really acoustic singing, what we call free-man music or three-man music. It would be sung as parts, but kind of more like parts in a play than parts in a harmony nowadays. And free-man singing kind of doesn't really exist anymore. When people like Cecil Sharp and the other Victorian collectors, when did Victorian collecting, part of the way they wanted to sell this music was by putting it to chords and harmonies and stuff. So it's all recorded as, proper piano music with proper right hand technique and whatnot, which is of course not how it would have been sung at all. It would have been sung predominantly a cappella, and often we have comments from early collectors that this, that or the other song doesn't seem to be in any particular key. The singer is just singing whatever they damn well feel like. And this is a song I do in that tradition. I always try and have at least one a cappella song to kind of have an homage back to people like Johnny England. So this is by a guy called Mike Waterson. It's a Scottish song, and patriotism notwithstanding, I think that Scottish, English, and Welsh music tends to kind of flow into each other much more than people anticipate. So I'm going to have it. So this is 3-Day Millionaire. Left school Friday, started work on Saturday to catch the early tide and be a galley boy's my plan. The fishing grounds to Rome, 1800 miles from home, and I couldn't give a bugger, I'm a man. I'll get to deck learning is the bonus I'll be earning, and the money comes in handy for the old rantan. Brill cream in me hair, 3-day millionaire, I couldn't give a bugger, I'm a man. Get myself a soup made to show 'em in the fishing trade, I'll put my brothel creepers on and I'll swagger when I can. All me pots are pint-sized, watch me getting paralysed, to show the other buggers who's a man. When I get to Skipper, I'll get married, have a nipper. I will take the lad to sea with me and I'll teach him all I can. The house out in Kirkella be a different sort of fella, and I'll show the bleeding neighbours who's a man. I'll be a different sort of fellow with a house out in Kirkella, and I'll show the bleeding neighbours who's a man. I like that one, it's quite funny. So we talk for a little minute, let me distract from the quality of the music for a moment and talk about the instrument that I'm playing here. This is a mandolin. The mandolin is originally an Italian instrument. It's kind of in some way related to the violin, so there's a mandolin to the violin, but there's also a mandola and a mandocello and a mandobass. Mandola pops up occasionally, sort of some American music. It's Italian originally, Mandolin, and it pops up in kind of bits of classical music you sort of hear. So Vivaldi writes a concerto. Which I'm not very good at because I'm not a proper classical musician. Vivaldi writes this concerto. It's very famous. Mozart plays the mandolin. It kind of pops up in, I think it pops up in the Magic Flute. Again, not a huge opera expert. It kind of floats around Europe for a bit. It's eventually picked up by the Americans. America really runs with it, so it becomes the mandolin appears in early blues music. People like Johnny Young and Yank Rachel, who kind of play like this. Stealing, please don't tell me. Steal on my mind, same more used to be. Gonna steal on my mind, same more used to be. Which again, I can't really play, but that is part of the mandolin tradition. It's eventually picked up by people like Bill Monroe, and it becomes bluegrass, and it's big in the American country scene. You see more mandolins in Irish folk music than in English folk music, I think, because one of the big characters in Irish folk music is the bouzouki, which is tuned the same, G-D-A-E, like a violin. But yeah, so the mandolin kind of does the rounds, and it pops up here and there. I mean, the other very famous place the mandolin, of course, pops up is REM. With Losing My Religion. That's kind of the most famous place the mandolin pops up. And then they kind of crop up here and there. They're kind of a lovely instrument in a way. It's very kind of a very kind of intimate, kind of quiet instrument. So yeah, it's a very kind of intimate, quiet instrument. like that. And it's kind of lovely, you know, it's got that kind of intimacy to it. So I'll give you my last tune, which is a song called The Foggy Dew. Not to be confused with the Irish song called The Foggy Dew, which is about the Troubles, which that's not this one. This is a different one. This is an English one. It's a kind of morality tale. There's a lot of these morality tales of this type that kind of tell young women, you know, don't go out with the young lads, you'll only get yourself into trouble. And this is a version clearly aimed at the young lads. So this is The Foggy Dew. I was a bachelor, I lived all alone. I worked at the weaver's trade. The only thing that I ever did wrong was to woo a fair young maid. I wooed her in the winter time and in the summer too. And the only thing that I did that was wrong was to keep her from the foggy dew. One night she came to my bedside when I was fast asleep, laid her head upon my bed and she began to weep. She sighed, she cried, she damn near died. She said, what shall I do? So I hauled her into bed and covered up her head to keep her from the foggy dew. Thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely day.